focal length, depth of field, and flattering lenses for your next video. This one is for you DSLR filmmakers out there. There was a reason you switched to a camera. This is it. Interchangeable lenses. And even those of you out there who have a fixed lens, meaning one you can't take off the camera without some serious damage, you can benefit from what we're talking about today as well. Because not all lenses, and more importantly, not all focal lengths are made equal. Watch to the end to get my recommendations on the next lens you should buy for your DSLR. What is focal length? Look on your lens. There's a number printed on the side. It's probably a range with two whole integer values on it, followed by mm. It might say something like 18 to 55 mm, or 12 to 40 mm, or 24 to 70 mm. It might have only one number, like 35 or 50. The mm is millimeters, and the number is how many millimeters the lens is rated for. Specifically, the focal length is a measurement from the optical center of the lens, the halfway point, and the camera sensor, the relative point of the focusing glass inside your lens. But honestly, you don't need to know that level of technical detail. I learned that just for this episode. For all intents and purposes, the focal length is how zoomed in your view is with the lens, and conversely, how narrow your field of view is when you use that lens. Zoomed in lenses, aka higher focal length values, is how folks get amazing shots of wildlife from a safe distance, and lower values are how you get those crazy fisheye looking photos that seem to take in the whole room at once with a ton of distortion. Put simply, the field of view is how much of the world that you can see when you look through the lens. Sure, all photos coming out the other end are the same size, the same aspect ratio, the same number of pixels. All that is determined by your sensor and your camera. But field of view is like when you're looking through a pair of binoculars. Your eyes haven't changed, but how much you see of the world has, because of the glass in front of them. If you've learned something new today, make sure you hit like, and don't forget to subscribe. All right, let's learn a little bit about the different categories of focal length, and more importantly, how they affect your cinematography. Starting with wide lenses, standard lenses, and telephotos. Wide-angle lenses are everything from 6mm up to about 35mm. Wide-angle lenses as a category traditionally start closer to 18mm and up. You'll notice a lot of your kit lenses, the lens that comes with your DSLR when you buy it, start around 18mm. These are great for capturing a large field of view at one time, say a rally or a large group photo, but they're also great for tight quarters indoors. So you're inside a tight conference room or crammed inside some Capitol building or some other government institution that was built before the era of good sense for open floor plans. Wide-angle lenses will save your shoot, allowing you to still achieve your medium shot waist to head in a space where it would be impossible otherwise. At the widest end of that range, the smaller numbers 6mm to 18, wide angles are considered fisheye lenses. You'll notice that there aren't any values under 6mm. That's because the technology just doesn't exist, and honestly, you're starting to get into 360-degree photography at that point. Fisheye is different from wide because they're considered functionally specialized. They're simply too wide to serve most general purposes. The image that fisheye lenses put out are too weird for the majority of videography or photography, but it's perfect for some very specific needs. Things that most nonprofits just don't care about, such as experimental portraiture, real estate photography, and some macro photography. Obviously, for you non-profiteers out there, tread carefully. Lenses, good lenses, are expensive, and specialized lenses doubly so. I wouldn't invest in a fisheye lens unless I had a clear, regular use in mind for it. If you're doing something one time, try renting. Standards. 35mm up to 85mm is considered the standard range. Standard meaning closer to the normal range that we experience in our everyday lives. These lenses are what most things are photographed at. You'll notice that your standard kit lens also covers most of that range. Most movies and most scenes in most movies fall into that range. Most photography, commercial and private, is in that range. And the perceived focal length of human vision falls inside that range too. If you're on a full-frame sensor, more on that in another episode, then the human eye is roughly 43 to 50mm. This is why a lot of portrait photography, that is non-fashion portrait photography, is done on a 50mm. It's close to what is normal for our eyes. Later on in this episode, I'm going to make some recommendations of lenses that you should be purchasing, and they're mostly going to be inside the 35 to 85mm range. The standard range is the most functionally versatile for everything from interviews to B-roll to event videography, and that's what your viewership expects to see. It's what years of media has trained them to expect, and it's a way to capture your subject matter without drawing too much attention to the equipment that you happen to be using. Above 85mm and beyond, potentially without limit, is the category of telephoto and supertelephoto. Telephoto is used for events, certain specialized interview scenarios, and some scenery photography. It's also used for wildlife photography and astrophotography. Let's say you're at the back of the room during a press conference, a hearing, or a speech. A telephoto lens will let you get a nice, clean shot of the speaker at the podium, filling the frame as if you were right in front of them the whole time. It won't help you with audio, though. Beyond 200 millimeters is considered super telephoto and is, much like fisheye, a very specialized category with limited use. Above 200 millimeters, you will be hard-pressed to get a human being to fit into the frame while still being close enough for them to hear you yelling instructions or questions at them. To get an entire person in a frame, you'd have to put them a football field away from you. Speaking of football, these lenses are also very useful if you're doing sports photography and videography, so you can avoid the hazards of running on the field during a game to get that sweet, sweet close-up. This bad boy here is a 150 to a 600 millimeter zoom lens. I have an adapter that doubles its functional focal length, making it equivalent to 1200 millimeters. And I use this chiefly for photographing small birds that are very far away. Here's some examples. There are longer lenses, even longer than this, upwards of 2000 millimeters, with extensions and adapters to get you into ludicrous ranges of 6000 millimeters and higher, used exclusively for astrophotography and 90s spy movie protagonists. Who knows, maybe you need one to stalk a senator and get some dirt on them. I won't judge. So, to summarize, events and close quarters will benefit from a wide-angle lens. Portraits and normal B-roll need standard lenses, and landscapes, wildlife, and speakers at events need telephotos. And good luck convincing your Edie to buy a fisheye or a super telephoto. There's something else that you get from different focal lengths beyond zooming in and out, though. Shorter focal lengths, i.e. smaller values, tend to exaggerate motion and depth. I personally love using these when I'm filming on a gimbal, a handy stabilizer that lets me glide around smoothly with the camera. It gives whatever I film more energy and more of a sense of being there. Counterintuitively, this also means that it's more forgiving for handheld work. The greater field of view means your lateral motion, that's your X and Y axis, is smaller within the frames. So if you do have to go handheld, a wider angle lens will be less shaky. Longer focal lengths, i.e. higher values, tend to compress space. In practical terms, that means it's more flattering to your subject. Where a wide-angle lens would exaggerate the features and motion of someone's face, the longer focal length smooths everything out into the same depth. Your subject will appreciate it if you can use a longer lens on them. There's more examples of what this looks like in the description below. There are thousands of lenses, and each one serves a different purpose. Each one has different trade-offs: sharpness for low light, speedy autofocus, cheap materials, good color, extra weight. My only advice to you is do your research. Learn what's important to you and start searching based on that. If you run into something and you have no idea what it is, please let us know in the comments below. It's an easy arena to get completely lost in, with too many features to consider for one lifetime. At some point, I'll do an episode on the best lens for particular scenarios, but for now, here's my general advice on your next lens, which could be your first lens. Get a zoom lens. A zoom lens is the one that has two numbers marked on it for millimeters. It covers a range of focal lengths, 12 to 40, 24 to 70, 18 to 55, or my 150 to 600. Zooms, as opposed to prime lenses, which are the ones with only one number on them, like a 24, 35, 50, or 85, prime lenses can't zoom in or out. They're locked at one focal length. You should get a zoom lens because it's more versatile. While it was true years ago that prime lenses were sharper, had better color, and were brighter than zoom lenses, the differences between zooms and primes these days are much less than it used to be, and now only the most elitist among us could reliably tell the difference. A common lens focal range is 24 to 70 millimeters, or something close to that, 24 to 75, 24 to 105, etc. For most of you, you should get a 24 to 70 millimeter lens. Some suggested lenses that I use day to day are in the description below, covering a range of different types of cameras, because yes, I do have too many cameras, it's a problem. If you're on a Micro Four Thirds format camera, you're going to need something a little wider. This applies for anything made by Panasonic, the Lumix series, but also modern Fuji and Olympus cameras, and the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. These will do best with something closer to 12 to 40 millimeters, which it will be a roughly equivalent of 24 to 70 on any other type of camera. Link to my favorites in the description below. Let me know in the comments what lenses you ended up going for and why. I'd love to get a sense of what is most important for everyone, and if there's a difficult situation and you're wondering what lens would be best to tackle it, let us know that too. So make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and we'll see you on the next one.